and comes in with the intention of doing the right thing. But not all of them have been well suited to work in a committee setting. Not all are tolerant of other people's opinions. People react differently. Some possess stronger personalities than others and try and attempt to force their opinion on others. Others have not extended common courtesies towards elected officials, appointed officials, and town employees. And yet others believe that the issues and priorities that are very important to them, may not be the majority of everybody else. So any combination of those one or two circumstances can cause some friction. So, I mean, I can only tell you what I have done and what I will continue to do. I mean, I just try and, kind of police myself as far as how I handle myself, but also I try and point out if one of my members, colleagues, I think is straying a bit or bogging us down or distracting us from the real issues at hand. I try and express my opinions to them privately, my concerns. Hopefully they would listen and maybe consider what I had to say. And then if that doesn't work, then I just bring the issue up publicly and just say it's time to, kind of knock it off and move on and get on to the more important issues. So it's challenging at times. We have strong personalities. People sitting here generally have some ego and are not, wallflowers. So it's going to happen.
Joe?
I've been watching Selectmen meetings for several years, and I don't know if I agree that there's a lot of combativeness on the board. I mean, there are times when members don't agree with other members, and I think that's part of the process. I think it's difficult to have 5 people sitting on a board and think you're going to get consensus all the time. I think it's healthy to have disagreements. I think it's healthy to have differing opinions. I would welcome, if elected, I would welcome the opportunity to participate in those discussions, but it has to be done respectfully. It has to be done with knowing that the other person has a right to view their opinions. But respectfully, I think people do this because they're volunteering because they want to help out. So I don't think that anybody on the board currently or in the time that I've been in North Reading is doing this for any other reason than to volunteer and to help out the town. I have no self-interest in being on the board. I have a background that I think would benefit the town. I think I can help out, and if I don't get elected, then I'm still going to offer my services. I would be more than happy if the other 2 candidates get elected to have them call me and ask my opinion and stuff. But I think as long as debate is good, as long as it's respectful and people are allowed to be heard. And you know what? If I'm sitting on the board and one of them 2 are with me and they can talk me into change my mind, good luck to them.
I have a reputation of being a team player and a consensus builder. I served 5 years on the Finance Committee, 15 years on the School Committee, and 4 years on the School Building Committee. And I have never been a part of a committee that has demonstrated the rude behavior that I have witnessed. And I'm not singling out any particular member. I can only offer my skills that I've used to bring about harmony. When I was first elected to the school committee, it was on the tails of a time when the school committee and the Board of Selectmen just behaved badly at town meeting. And when I got on the school committee, along with the fellow members and the new superintendent, we developed subcommittees. One of them was the finance planning team. And we worked with chairman and vice chairman from finance and Board of Selectmen. And we ironed out some details. We established some game plans. And from that moment on at town meeting, we didn't have that kind of discourse. And that's just a way that North Reading has benefited, and it shows true leadership. I didn't single-handedly do any of that, but I like to think that the right people with the right attitude and the common goal, that we can improve the behavior on the board.
Okay.
Thanks.
Does anyone want to say anything, 30 seconds?
Yeah, I would. Just, there has been over the last 18 months or so, relationship problems between members of the board and the way that some members of the board have been acting, stuff like that. And again, I've always been a consensus builder. I served a long time with a lot of different people, and I think if you you talk to most of the people I've sat with, they find me to be respectful for everybody else. And I called it out just about a month or so ago, and I thought it was important to do so. I think we've seen some modification on the board's part going forward since then, and I think that's a positive thing. Unfortunately, I had to do it, but that's okay. If you have to do it, you have to do it.
Okay. Joe,
Yeah, I just want to reiterate, I think, I think debate is healthy, and I don't think it needs to get combative or rude, but I think debate is healthy, and I don't think that, everybody's going to agree with everybody all the time, and if we're naive if we think that. I mean, people have a right to have their opinions, they have a right to voice their opinions, and it's okay. It's okay to debate one another, as long as it's respectful.
There's a rule of thumb I raise my children by. It's not what you say, but how you say it that resonates. And I think that's a lesson everybody can learn.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Joe, you mentioned that you support new development. How do you juggle the need for new development while keeping a small town feel for North Reading?
Well, I think we're fortunate enough that the town is somewhat separated in the fact that you have Concord Street and then you have 28. I think we can keep our town image, keep the way, the reason why people moved here, and residentially people can still live happily the way they are, but I think if you take parts of the town that are, like 28 and Concord Street, that's where you bring development in. You drive up 93 and you look on, on either side of every exit, you have development such as office buildings, hotels, restaurants, and I think we have that corridor to do that. I think that that if we brought wastewater in, we'd be able to do that. Right now, you're not going to get that because you don't have the capacity. People businesses don't want to come here because we don't have that capacity, but North Reading is centrally located. You have 93, 28, 128 within driving distance. So I think we can keep business separated from residential, let people still live their lives, raise their kids in their homes, but still allow business to come in and prosper.
Maureen?
And that's done through zoning, and we have different zoning sections, and it's done in concert with the Community Planning Commission. And it's forever changing. You have to keep your eye on it. It was several years ago, we had an adult bookstore that wanted to come to town, and people reacted, and the Board of Selectmen and the Community Planning Board stepped up to the plate, and we rezoned. There will be no adult bookstore on 28 or in residential zones. You have to have a zone for them. You place them where it's out off Concord Street. There's an initiative coming to the ballot in November. It would legalize medical distribution of marijuana. They would come to town with a permit to open greenhouse, distribution, and storefronts. We will have to react, once again, what zone would those best be suited to protect the flavor of our neighborhood? I believe the Board of Selectmen reacted to a petition from a restaurant to serve alcohol, and the reaction was, this is a residential neighborhood. So while we set our zones, we also have to have the flexibility to reshuffle, and it's why we have a CPC and a zoning board.
Steve?
We have a great community. Again, I was born and raised here, and I've seen it change, from a population of about 6,000 to about 15,000 now, and we've seen a significant amount of development where there was no green bar, there were no condominiums, there were no apartment buildings, and so it's evolved over the years, and that has been through a concerted effort on the part of the Community Planning Commission in concert with the Board of Selectmen to ensure that we have appropriate zoning to make sure that the character of the community is maintained, and we've done it very carefully and very calculated. We've made some adaptations, like out on Route 62 with the J.T. Berry being closed. We did an overlay district for affordable housing and R&D development, which is we're hoping to have developed shortly. Same thing with Concord Street. Way back in the 60s when we ended up with all the trucking terminals out there, huge mistakes that were made. One of the things, the benefits that I have is that, I've sat through an awful lot of meetings and a lot of times and seen the town grow and change over the years, and I think that's what I bring to the town is a good historical and institutional knowledge as to, where we've been, how we've gotten to where we are today, and what can we do. I think I've proved that I have some sort of a vision for progressing and moving forward, but at the same time, trying to maintain the character of our community, maintain the integrity of the neighborhoods and the residential areas. And, as Joe pointed out, we are well suited as far as how we're laid out with the Concord Street and the Route 28 area.
Okay, anyone like 30 seconds?
One last thing. I worked in 2 communities and came from 2 communities that were, at the time, were not considered, places where businesses wanted to go. And, in both, I was part of the business development team that brought in businesses to both communities that now has the ability to say no to businesses, as opposed to asking community, businesses to come in. We choose who we want in town, and I think we can do the same here. It's all about putting a team together, a development team together, that's going to show communities, show businesses why this is the place you want to be. And I think we can be as successful as Somerville and Chelsea was.
Okay. All right. Two pieces of land that are often talked about would be Berry property and where the Stop and Shop used to be. As a selectman, what are some of the things that you'd like to see happen to those 2 properties? Maureen?
I would beg to.
Yep.
Well, out in the Berry Center, there's no doubt I'd love to see commercial property out, commercial development. That we've already have the residential piece. And as far as the Stop and Shop building, I would really like for the Stop and Shop owners to rent or sell that building to a viable business. And maybe I would prefer that it not break it up into multiple small businesses. It would be nice if we could get a large vendor to come in and utilize that building.
Steve?
In relation to the Berry property, that was abandoned by the state back in 1990, 1991, and under my signature as chairman at that time, we demanded a seat at the table and actually got it. And it took, well over 15 years before any plans were developed in the town, and the state came around to finally offering the property for sale. Again, we got involved with the rezoning. We took care of our affordable housing needs out there with the development that's there right now, so that we don't have the 40B issues that we were dealing with inside the residential neighborhoods. As far as the rest of the property that's there, I mean, we have it zoned for commercial property, residential, research and development type office space, which is what we're trying to progress and get it to happen. As far as the Stop and Shop building, again, what's happening there right now is directly related to Stop and Shop's attitude as to what they're doing. They own the property. They're minimizing the amount of lease time that they're willing to offer people, which is limiting the ability to get at lease. What's important, though, is we have to look at a little bit of bigger picture. There's a significant parcel of land, just if you look where Heavenly Donuts is, up to Stop and Shop, which is available. It would be nice to put together a little village shopping center throughout that area by developing that parcel along with the Stop and Shop parcel. It would make a nice little walking, shopping area, and but it's going to take some assistance, by the town, and in working in concert with the owners of both of those parcels. If we zone it properly, help lay out a plan and a vision for them, I think we're going to see the potential for a nice development there. But it's going to take a concerted effort on everybody's part, the property owner's part and the town's.
Joe?
As far as the Berry property, I think we need to look at some commercial development or some hotel. I'm actually a little disappointed in the way that turned out. I thought it could have been a lot more. I remember coming up here, like I said, as a kid and seeing that, and I just thought there was so much potential there. And I thought that when I saw construction starting there, that it could have been a lot more. So I'm a little disappointed with what's there, but we have to live with what's there now. We need to look at some commercial development. I think a hotel would be great there. Location is great. As far as the Stop and Shop, I said it the other night. I just can't believe that Stop and Shop was allowed to get away with what they did, and to no one's fault. I mean, I'm not pointing the finger at anybody. They did what they had to do to keep out competition, and that's sad. It's sad because competition is healthy, and that's what keeps this country going. I'm happy that they succumbed to the demands of the townspeople and did not put Ocean State job lots there. I think that would have been a huge mistake. We have Walmart right across the street. I think we need to look at some sort of other development. I'm not saying we should break it up into many small parcels, but it's going to be very difficult because Stop and Shop's not going to allow it to get one occupier there. So I think you need to look at maybe splitting the building in half, putting some sort of some maybe offices or some restaurants But again, I just can't believe that Stop and Shop was allowed to do what they did, and I think we need to get them in here, put them on the carpet, and ask them where they're going to go with this, because it's not fair to the town. It's not fair what's going on here at all.
Anyone want 30 seconds? Maureen?
It was important that we added a residential component to the Berry property because it met the town's need for 40B developments. If we didn't